Welcome to Mild Sauce Live. I'm back. This is Jake Krez, and I'm in a new location this week. We are in a gym of some sort with the Hex House. Sorry, I'm working with the new producer on the camera. Go wide. Now we got the whole Hex House. Here we go. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
How you doing?
Damn, I was trying to get that energy, but
Well, just to clarify, we're House of Hex.
excuse me, House of Hex.
That name was taken.
Hex House of Hex. Excuse me. I'm new to your whole movement, the whole thing you guys are doing over here. Oh, we got a phone ringing. It's all right. We're live, so things happen. But tell us a little bit about what you all have been doing here, what's been going on, the event that we have coming up. We're going to get into it in detail, but for those who might not be familiar, what would be the first inkling of House of Hex?
Can I start?
Sure. So House of Hex is a production company made up of the six of us, and we're all sort of multidisciplinary artists, so we all have our own sort of thing going on, but together we create different media projects, so film and other digital content. So we started because we wanted to just all work together and also create film spaces run by queer, Black, and POC, just to give us the liberation and agency to sort of create projects and not be exploited and have access to the resources that we need.
And if we could, real quick, kind of go around maybe and introduce each person, what your individual role in everything is and how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like a patchwork of different things.
Definitely.
All right, I'll start. So my name is Miles, and basically I create visual content using film, digital art, and anything like that. So that's probably the extent of what I do.
I'm Hex. I do a lot of different things. I think I mostly have a role doing direction, producing, editing, some styling. In my personal practice, I do a lot of print media as well as painting and animation, so just kind of whatever feels right to convey what I'm trying to say.
I'm Onyx. I do producing, creative direction, styling, graphic design, and then in my own personal practice, I do event production, creative direction as well, and fashion design.
Hi, I'm Mac. I use they, them pronouns, and I do a lot of makeup. I like special effects makeup and prop making. I like to help out with set design too. Yeah, I also sometimes make furniture, stuff like that. I just like making things.
Hi, I'm Fulani. I do more of the performance and movement-based things and modeling for any photo shoots that we have, and I kind of do that in my own personal practice. And then also kind of visual acting. Yeah, I just movement just comes very natural to me.
I'm Sienna. I use they, them pronouns. Mostly what I do for House of Hex would be sound. In my personal practice, I'm just a musician, so it just works out. And trying to help out also with set design and a lot of admin work as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot going on here, and coming up this weekend, correct? Or is it
Friday.
Friday. There you have the unveiling, if you will. Would you call it that a bit? It's a step out in a new direction.
Our launch.
A launch
for everyone
I
to
don't know
see
the
all
right
of
terminology. I'm where it's at, but how would you explain the film that you put together and the project that kind of encompasses this upcoming event?
Well, I think that there's several things that we're trying to showcase and do with this event. We want to display our art, give people a chance to get to know us, and also just have a lot of fun. We're going to be screening 2 projects, Twin Shells and Unpleasant. Fulani, do you want to talk about Unpleasant?
Yeah. So Unpleasant, we started filming in February. So we're kind of wrapping up the project now. Everyone has their own work and personal things that they're doing, so we kind of come together to do our own projects, but then people have their own schedules and stuff. Yeah, so Unpleasant is it's a personal autobiography. It's about time, it's about transformation, it's about my own personal kind of path of healing and discovering new ways of self-love. And everyone kind of put this vision together. And yeah, I'm very excited about it.
It sounds exciting. So how do you all find one another? I mean, how does this come together in the first place? 'Cause, I mean, Chicago creatives have a tendency to, get together in collectives in different ways. But down here in Pilsen, there's a beautiful scene of things happening. How did you all find one another initially and kind of get to the point where you will be releasing something and having an event? And I mean, if you all could see the rest of this place, it's absolutely incredible. So you have a lot of cool things happening. But what was like the nugget that kind of started it all?
Probably Onyx.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we all just started as friends, but like I'm the like central point as to how we all became friends. Just by like different projects, like meeting Fulani, like we collaborated on a film I did back in undergrad. Meeting Miles, like meeting everybody sort of like through the internet, but also through the art scene. And then sort of like, I don't know, we kind of grew really close and like formed a family. And then Hex and I had kind of been talking about wanting to start like making films together and a project. And it was like one of those things where like, when you're just like two people are separately thinking of an idea and then one day they're like, oh, I have this idea. Oh, I have this idea. Well, it sounds like we have the same idea.
It was very that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it really came together when we started working on Twin Shells. That's going to be the other project that we're screening Friday. It started as like a ritual, a rain dance, and a sacrifice, and yeah, you guys have to just see it. But I think that was the first big project that we all really worked on together. It was just really cool, like flowing off each other's energy at 4 in the morning in the dead of winter.
It was cold.
Yeah, it was cold as fuck. Yeah, I feel like that was just a really magical project, and like we created magic and like bonded.
Yeah, it was honestly the sort of thing where like we just had this idea and then we just made it happen. Like no resources, like very minimal equipment. Like we were literally like out at Promontory Point at like 5 in the morning with a camera, and like very simple, and just sort of like realize that we all like building and creating together. And like also there's just a lot of different things we like to do like outside of film, like art installations, gallery shows, like music performance. So it all just sort of like honestly worked itself out. And like the name House of Hex had come to Hex, and it sort of worked perfectly. There's 6 of us. Like it was just one of those things that was like totally like divine and just like figured itself out on its own.
That's what's up. So how much fun has it been getting ready for this event? Because it seems, I would imagine that you're probably all pulling on all the creativity in your
We're doing it
right
all.
now.
Yeah.
What's it like for everybody to kind of be doing their own part, sort of, or as a collective is really supposed to move like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
I feel like we're all like equally invested too, so it's really easy. Like it all just kind of happens really organically, and it just comes together.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And it just feels like we're hanging out most of the time too.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's the best part, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
We definitely like to mix work and play.
Yeah.
I feel like it really
That's
charges all of us
important, though.
creatively.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
time I like hung out with you guys was working on a set together. It was for Unpleasant,
Yep.
and it was just so much fun. And then it just from there, it was just really easy.
It was like all the puzzle pieces came together like it slowly, but it just
Yeah.
happened.
And that's like another thing that's I think really important to us as a collective is like creating a set environment where folks feel excited about creating. Oftentimes, like as people who exist with marginal identities, as like Black and queer, like and gender nonconforming folks, when we're on sets that are primarily dominated by folks who are not of our identities, that liberation isn't always there. Like, it feels very stifled, and like you feel sort of anxious and performative and like to conform to certain things. And then like film sets in general like can honestly be sometimes really cold and like stressful. And so I think for us, like, and we've all sort of existed in that realm, we just wanted to create a work environment where we, you know, obviously there's agency and we're all, you know, like being intentional about work, but like we're all sort of like relaxed about the creative process and making sure we're giving room for everybody to do their best and be their best self as a creator.
I think that was a really big part of how, you know, we decided to form this collective out of a need for something that isn't there.
Yeah.
It's just really like frustrating and takes a lot of the joy out of art making, like something that's supposed to be joyful.
Well, I think I saw you recently were like going through that with art school, correct? Instagram shit, my bad. But that I saw that and I thought that was interesting. Like, is this kind of like a release within that world, sort of, that like isn't being fulfilled in another spot?
Definitely. Being in art school is such a weird place. I go to SAIC, and it's just a very white, very wealthy environment. It's very elitist, and it's kind of difficult because like you want to be a professional practicing artist, you want to have access to these resources, and you know, to kind of exist in like the contemporary art world and like in that market, it's just very gatekeepy. Like you need to learn this elitist language and like conform in a weird way that I'm kind of like essentially just against, but at the same time like you want these new experiences and you want to like learn things. So I don't know, it feels very conflicting, but having this kind of feels like what I want to see the art world look like in an ideal world, or like what I want my own like artistic life to be like. So it's reassuring and it's like hopeful in a
That's
sense.
what's up. So tell me about this space. This is where you all operate out of?
No, this space, I guess, is, I don't want to say the word owned, I guess, shared. It's under the care.
You don't have to put anybody on.
Yeah, it's under the care of an organization called Molasses, which is co-founded and run by myself and 4 other individuals in the city. And it's a community organization that basically creates a space that highlights and centers specifically Black and Brown, trans, and gender nonconforming folks. So we started as a monthly party at Berlin nightclub, but then since acquiring this space, they're sort of moving into a realm of community organizing and lots of different programming that's not just centered on nightlife. So we're sort of envisioning this as a DIY community space. The space is called North Star, and basically that is inspired by, obviously, like the North Star being a symbol of like home and freedom and guidance for Black folks. And then STAR was an organization back in the 80s that was like for trans women and sex workers. So all of that together is sort of like the goal of the space, is to create like a sanctuary and a space where like that community can utilize and come together, have fun, be free, be safe, be prioritized.
Amazing.
So we do operate under the umbrella of this space. Like our studio is based here, but the space belongs to Molasses.
That's amazing. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, for someone who may have just seen like promotions and stuff, take somebody through what they could expect to be seeing, experiencing, and feeling.
Everything.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff here. There's going to be several installations. We want this experience to be immersive. We want it to teleport you to a different dimension. I feel like that's a really key theme in a lot of our work. And we're going to be recreating some aspects, or I guess creating iterations of previous projects in the form of installations. So without giving too much away, there's going to be a lot of like projections and performances.
We have Bambi coming from Toronto,
Yeah.
headlining, which is really exciting.
So yeah, we're gonna have some other DJs as well. Jared Brown, Zola Makita, and Bone Reader, in addition to Bambi. So it's going to be a really cool night. We created like a custom menu, cocktail menu. We all sort of have like our own little drink. There'll be some other special treats also at the function. But yeah, we're really excited for the evening.
That's what's up. So where, like, the Chicago art scene is so diverse and like so, I mean, from SAIC across everything that goes on in the city. I walked up a lot of stairs earlier, and I'm still trying to get back from it.
Yeah.
So excuse my babbling. But no, I mean, it's a very diverse art scene in Chicago, and I feel like it sets the pace a lot of times. Like, people a lot of times look to New York, but as we always have to deal with in these things, being Chicagoans, I'm always impressed by the innovativeness of artists here in Chicago. What does it mean to you to be stepping out in this way, being able to show off your work, having this opportunity to have a platform to put forward? Because from everything you're saying, it sounds like you're all doing the right things to put those voices and those stories that you want to do in the right spots.
I think for me, first and foremost, in my personal practice and my work with Molasses, as a person who's not from Chicago, I think it's really important to me to create space and create resources that can be given directly back to the city, and creating a space for the city. And so I think it's really great to contribute in that way, and I feel like Chicago is really welcoming in terms of like letting folks into their art scenes who are not from here to create. So I don't take that privilege lightly, and I think that's something that's really important. So being able to like have this space and also like creating this production company and like giving other folks, specifically other Black and brown folks in the city, the opportunity to create, I think is really crucial to our work here.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, and growing up here, being an artist and being involved in the art community for, as long as I can remember in different contexts, there's not really anything like this happening in the city, specifically for Black and brown people, specifically for like queer artists, for just people that don't fit inside these traditional categories. And I think that's really important. I think there needs to be a space for just Chicago to represent itself authentically. I think in a lot of Chicago projects, sometimes there's not people from the city leading those or in like decision-making positions. And I think that's something that needs to be rectified.
I feel like growing up in Chicago, like I wasn't immersed in the art scene. I was more focused on community organizing. So the last like 3 years, I've been like immersed in the art scene, and it is a lot of people who are not from Chicago or didn't grow up in Chicago. So I feel like I'm just like proud of our work, and I feel like it's really inspiring. And I feel like in Chicago, there's not a lot of like collaborative work where it is like commission, but like I feel like our collaborative work is like based on like friendship, and I feel like a lot of collaborative work outside of that is like, I don't know, there's no like connection or like partnership. It's just about like producing something that is not necessarily like about like connected to anything else. Like it's to like create content that isn't like for something or for like a purpose or for like, it's just to create more things and more art. So yeah, I'm just proud of us.
It's like that everyone's an artist, but not everyone. What was that Banksy movie, The Exit to the Gift Shop, where he's like, maybe I shouldn't have told him to do art, because he was just creating like tons of it.
Yeah.
But I feel you. I mean, I think that's very interesting. What you guys are doing here is all very interesting as well. What is the ultimate goal for House of Hex? How do you see this progressing? What is the evolution from here? I'm catching you at the front end. If I would catch you again in like a year from now, what could I expect to see?
We have a lot of goals.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin, honestly.
We have a goal for the year, though.
For the year?
At least to get as many productions as we
Yeah.
kind of set a
What did
goal
you call
for.
it? Like a kit?
Like it was like I don't know what I call it.
Yeah, but we want to have several music videos
Yeah.
by the end of the year. We want to have maybe 2 short films and like get 1 larger film project
Start with
in the
narrative
works.
soon,
Yeah, right now, the two projects that we're going to be screening are very, like, not experimental, they're narrative, but they definitely, we haven't explored dialogue or any sort of like screenwriting as a part of our practice. So I think definitely like a year from now is to begin actually like writing and creating like stories and films. Going back to what Fulani said, like a lot of the work based in the city is based on, you know, like commercial stuff or very like capitalist centered, like photo shoots for magazines or for ads for this, that, or whatever. And though like we're very interested in that, like we're also really interested in like creating stories and creating content. So our goal is definitely to, you know, keep building our foundation as a collective. But I think in the long term, like we really want to exist as a huge resource for folks in our community. Like, so yeah, but I don't know. I think a lot of that will still also unfold itself. But
A while ago, I told you guys I wanted to make my own prosthetics. I want to do like
Yeah.
a spooky sci-fi film.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, we have a horror film that
Yes,
we want
the
to
horror
do.
film is the next
Be
thing.
so scary.
But I guess the next step is sort of like getting the word out about us. Like we want to start screening our films outside of just like an event and things of that nature. And of course, like creating more projects. But yeah, workshops, panels, like things of that nature. Other community organizing that can sort of like be curated.
And is this like, is this an open thing as well? Are you looking to add more people? Do you want people to get in touch with you? Can you connect, or is this a insular squad?
Collaborate. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely.
Collaboration is always, we're open to that.
I said all that to say if you
Yes,
want to
of
let the
course.
people know how to get in touch.
Oh,
How would they?
well, you can follow us on Instagram at Hex House, and then our website goes live tomorrow, houseofhex.net. And I guess updates would be there. But as for the event on Friday, the event link is in our bio on our Instagram, so that's the easiest way. Otherwise, you can go to Eventbrite and search House of Hex, and you should be able to find it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything that people should know about House of Hex before we get out of here?
We love you.
We love you all.
Yeah, we love you all.
Well, not her.
Well, yeah.
Leave it out. Well, thank you so much for letting me come bother you for the night and take a few minutes of your time. And appreciate you all being on Mild Sauce Live. Everybody, make sure you go out to House of Hex. As they said, you can get it. You can on Instagram.
Yes.
Instagram bio link. The website goes live tomorrow, so tickets will be there as well.
Yes.
All right, I got it. And yeah, this has been Mild Sauce Live with House of Hex. I'm Jake Krez, and we're out of here. Thanks again, guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much.